AIG. It used to stand for American International Group. Now it probably stands for Ain't I Greedy or something like that. Before 2008, AIG was a titan, a multinational insurance corporation. They were everywhere, selling insurance, making investments. Seemed like a safe bet, right? Wrong. The 2008 financial crisis revealed a dark secret. AIG was a house of cards ready to collapse, and when it did, it almost took the entire financial system down with it. This is the story of how AIG went from insurance giant to the poster child for Wall Street greed and recklessness. AIG's collapse was a major trigger for the 2008 financial crisis. Understanding what happened and why is crucial. We need to learn from these mistakes. Otherwise, we're doomed to repeat them, and nobody wants that. So, how did AIG, an insurance company, end up at the heart of a financial meltdown? Let's talk about subprime mortgages. These were home loans given to people with poor credit. Think of them as risky bets. Banks loved these because they came with high interest rates. More profit, right? They bundled these subprime mortgages into complex investments called mortgage-backed securities, or MBS. AIG got greedy. They insured these MBS through things called credit default swaps, or CDS. Basically, AIG promised to pay investors if the MBS went belly up. It was like insuring a house of cards against a hurricane. AIG thought they were being clever. They didn't realize those houses of cards were about to be hit by a financial Category 5. Remember those subprime mortgages? Yeah, they started defaulting. People couldn't pay their loans, the housing bubble burst, prices plummeted. Suddenly those MBS AIG insured weren't worth the paper they were printed on. AIG was on the hook for billions. Remember that word, billions? AIG needed it. Fast. They were running out of cash. They couldn't pay their debts. This is what we call a liquidity crisis. Imagine a bank with no money to give its depositors. Not good. AIG needed a lifeline, and they needed it yesterday. Section 4. Government intervention. A controversial bailout. Enter the U.S. government. They saw AIG's collapse as a threat to the entire financial system. It was a classic too-big-to-fail situation. If AIG went down, who knows what would happen. So the government stepped in with a massive bailout. Initially, it was $85 billion. Later, it ballooned to a staggering $182 billion. In return, the government got a controlling stake in AIG. Essentially, they owned the company. This bailout was incredibly controversial. People were furious. Why should taxpayers bail out a company that made reckless bets? It was a bitter pill to swallow, but many argued it was necessary to prevent a complete financial meltdown. Section 5. Aftermath. Picking up the pieces. Following the bailout, AIG underwent a massive restructuring. They sold off assets, repaid the government loans, and eventually returned to profitability. But the damage was done. The AIG scandal led to stricter financial regulations like the Dodd-Frank Act. These reforms aimed to prevent future crises by increasing oversight and reducing risk-taking. The AIG bailout had a lasting impact on the financial industry. It highlighted the interconnectedness of the global financial system and the need for greater transparency and accountability. Section 6. Conclusion, lessons learned, and the importance of regulation. The 2008 AIG scandal was a wake-up call. It showed how unchecked greed and excessive risk-taking can bring down even the mightiest of institutions. AIG's collapse was a symptom of a larger disease, a disease of reckless lending, complex financial instruments, and a lack of oversight. We learned the hard way that unregulated markets can lead to disaster. The Dodd-Frank Act and other reforms were attempts to cure this disease. They may not be perfect, but they're a step in the right direction. The AIG scandal serves as a stark reminder that we must remain vigilant. We must hold our financial institutions accountable, and we must never forget the lessons learned from this dark chapter in financial history.